I finished those rustic shelves this morning, and this afternoon's job has been repairing a gate. Not the sort of thing we do very often, although I did used to make a lot of gates from scratch and do this kind of traditional joinery. We do specialise in the fitted furniture lately, but it's nice to do something different for a change. So, whilst I'm waiting for the glue to dry, I thought I would talk to you about a very important matter, which is dust protection, dust masks for woodworkers. Particularly important working with MDF, although having said that, MDF dust is no worse particularly than fine hardwoods dust. Either way, you need to protect yourself from dust, and if you're new to this and you're being a bit slack on it, then pull yourself together and get yourself a decent mask. Now, the first very good mask that I got, just to give you a bit of background before I talk about these two, was a JSP power cap, and I must admit my parents bought it for me when they were concerned about me working so much with MDF, and that was a powered respirator that covers the face with a transparent screen and has rechargeable batteries which blow air over your face, which seemed like a great idea. However, it had a few downsides, including being quite cumbersome, and when you need to take it off, which you often do, for example to blow dust away from a cut line, often that's just what you've got to do to cut accurately with a handsaw. You've got to take it right off, and it was also quite annoying to have this constant stream of air kind of drying out my eyeballs, particularly in cold weather. So I decided I couldn't only use that, so I started using half masks, and I started with the disposable cheap ones, and then realised they were good for nothing. And then for a while I used a Moldex mask that had more of a moulded shape and a bit more bulk to it, but was basically disposable and fairly expensive. So then I started using better quality, semi-disposable half masks, ones that you change the filters and can keep going for quite a while. Now, around about the time I was trying to do this sort of thing properly, and I had taken on my first apprentice, Mo, I was informed that to use a mask properly, it should be face fitted, which means you check the fit to your particular face, that there's no entry points. Now at this point I must tell you that you shouldn't have a beard, so don't have a beard if you value your health. You're probably wondering, why have I got a beard? Well, when you're running a business from home and it's putting a strain on your marriage, and then you discover that your wife prefers you with a beard, you just have to choose your priorities. I've actually found these masks fit pretty well with the beard anyway. So, moving on. These two masks are the ones I want to talk to you about. I settled on this one after hearing about the face fit issue. Now, I did do a face fit test with the old Moldex masks, which involved having a bag put over your head whilst wearing the mask with a sort of bitter, I don't know if it was a powder or gas or something, but you had to, if you couldn't taste the bitterness, you knew you had a seal on your mask. So I learned about that whole process, and then I heard about these masks, which are sold at Screwfix and Toolstation and elsewhere. Let me just swipe away, that's a comment on one of my last videos. So yes, widely available, and we had a growing team. I thought, let's get something that I can easily replace and get the filters for. So this is the JSP Force 8 half mask. It caught my attention because it comes as standard with press to check filters. Now, we've actually fitted cheaper filters, but the ones that it comes with, which I'll show you a picture of, they are white enclosed things, which they have a sort of hinge where you press them, and by pressing them you close the seal, and that means that they don't let air through. The clever thing about that is, once you've got the mask on your face, you press both of the filters and you try to breathe in. If the mask suctions onto your face and collapses, you know that you've got a good face fit. So it's a very clever idea. We've been using them for a while, and then it occurred to me, well, once they're face fitted, you don't particularly need that mask. You certainly don't need those filters. So we started buying the cheaper filters, all P3, which is the best for MDF and fine dust, and I think filters out some vapor. So we've been getting these cheap filters. These I think are about £5 or slightly less, compared to I think 8 or 9 for the press to check ones. But I started to dislike this mask because even some of the features that I liked at first, like this thing that goes securely around the back of your head, when you want to take it off, that's kind of in the way, dangling down, and the whole mask itself is quite cumbersome, just hanging around here. Because I'm talking about taking it off and keeping the bottom strap on just round the back of your neck. I also started to find that fitting the filters on was more difficult than I thought it should have been. There's a little fitting that just doesn't engage as easily as I thought it would. I'll take some more video of this without me holding the camera, and I'll point it at me so I can show you these things and just drop them in. I've probably already been doing that as you're watching it. So I started looking at other masks, and I settled on the Trend Stealth, or Trend Air Stealth, I think it's called. Again, partly because you can get it at Screwfix and Toolstation, which means that I know I can easily pick it up pretty much anywhere, pick up replacement filters. Price-wise, this I think was a little more expensive. They're both sort of 22 to 25 pounds price mark, a little bit cheaper. At least this one was a little bit cheaper at Toolstation. I think they're about on a par for the other one, Toolstation versus Screwfix. So I do like this better because it's a lower profile. It doesn't feel annoying when it's half off your head just down there. The straps it comes with are better, they're wider and they're comfortable, and it doesn't have the big sort of crown of your head shaped thing, which seemed like such a good idea, but I do now prefer just a good wide strap that's more out of the way when you don't need it. It also has a more substantial clip with a pretty effective grabbing mechanism for the strap as it goes through, so that's easier to engage and lasts longer compared to the much flimsier bits that clip together on this one. Now this one is a lot older, so it's in less good condition, but I have a few times, because we've got through a few of these and the team use them as well, we do find that bits break. So in fact I think this one I've just tied off there, that's missing a bit there. So there's little fiddly bits of plastic that hold it together that definitely have been more prone to breaking than this one. Now, one of the appeals of the original Force 8 mask that came with the Press to Check filters was that the filter wasn't exposed. You'd sort of suck air in from the back, and then the filter was within this casing, which struck me as a good thing when you're routing and dust and chips are flying at you. Of course, you'd be wearing goggles as well then. The dust isn't just going straight onto the filter surface, which would clog it very quickly. Now, I must admit, of course, I then went for the cheaper option, which doesn't quite have that same benefit, but they've worked fairly well. So when I was then looking for an alternative, I was pleased to see the way that the Trend mask encloses the filters as well, and obviously it's lower profile as well. So this sort of grill, as you can imagine, has openings at the bottom, so any dust flying at you doesn't just stick straight onto the filter. Fit issue, they both have the same arrangement, which works very well. So it's a soft moulded rubber with that sort of flat flange on the inside that very easily shapes to your face. I would say the Trend one, it feels a little bit thicker, tougher, rubberier in a good way. It seems a bit more durable in terms of that bit that fits to your face. And in general, I have just come to find these a bit overly fiddly. So we've had a couple where that cover to the valve, so that central bit is the valve that lets air out as you breathe out. We found those have broken, and little bits of plastic that are meant to hold them on have snapped. So we've had to bin a mask. This one it's got that cover. That's a one-piece cover that unclips by turning those red bits there, and that comes off, including the kind of protective middle cover over that same valve. And I could imagine those joining bits breaking, but I found them to be pretty tough, and apart from that there are fewer fiddly and brittle parts that are liable to break. Now both of these, I suppose strictly, are semi-disposable. You're not really meant to keep using them forever. We've probably used them longer than their recommended lifespan, but that's what you do, isn't it, if you can. So you patch them together and stuff. As long as they seal and as long as the filters are up to date, then you're okay. If you do keep using them for a good long while, it's a good idea to give them a really good rinse out with soapy and hot water, because they get full of, well, bits of dust. Unless you're much more rigorous than I am at putting them straight into a bag or box in between using them, you just end up getting a bit of dust in, and that turns to a kind of nasty grime around the inner corners and then can have a nasty smell. But you can wash that out. It's all washable. So you can make them last for a good long time. So in summary, my recommendation would be the Trend Air Stealth mask. And if you want to be absolutely confident of the face fit, I would say that you could take the cover off, take the filters out, and cup your hands over the holes there and do the breathing in test, which would check if it suctions onto your face the way that this was designed to do with the special filters. So that's about it, I think, isn't it? Thank you for watching, and for more woodworking tips, but generally focused on fitted furniture, do subscribe.